Scottie Scheffler 2026. What do you think?
I think there's no reason to think that he's going to play any differently than he has since 2022 when this winning spree really started. And I think what amazed me, Rich, was not that Scottie was unable to replicate his win total from 2024, winning 9 times in 2025, but he won just, quote unquote, just 6 times. It's that he actually got better statistically, which was amazing. This was the best statistical season of his career. He got better with his iron play. And obviously, we know the improvement that he experienced on the greens, as well as with the changes that he made with putting coach Phil Kenyon really coming into his own if he can continue this level of ball striking. And again, we've seen no reason to think that is unable to be sustained. He's going to win 4, 5, 6 times. You know, you would put the over/under on Scottie Scheffler wins at what, 4.5, 5.5. I think that's a pretty reasonable assumption. It's just a matter of where and when. And obviously, he has that big event, the U.S. Open, turning 30 on U.S. Open Sundays. He can try to complete the career Grand Slam.
You think about it. We're at the stage you just mentioned it where you don't think twice about, 4 wins this year for Scottie Scheffler. He's still just, to your point, 29 years old. So if you go to 35, 36, and he stays injury-free, you're beginning to conjure up numbers like 50 wins, potentially, and maybe 8, 9, 10 major championships. Rex, not outlandish to begin to go there. Like, I know we've been disappointed in the past. Guys have gone on, 3-year runs. I'm thinking about Jordan Spieth or Justin Thomas, and then inevitably life gets in the way. They have family and they cool off a bit. Scottie seems different. Maybe the question is it outlandish, and to what is different if we do buy that idea?
I mean, by all accounts, he didn't have any off-season cooking injuries that he had to deal with, so I don't think there's anything standing in his way right now to continue what he's been doing. The comparison would be, and you mentioned Jordan Spieth, and I think that's a good comp because Jordan Spieth had some weaknesses in his game that he wasn't able to improve on. He also dealt with some injuries as well. If you look at Scottie Scheffler, he turned what would have been relatively one of the weaknesses, which was his putting, into one of his strengths, because Lab pointed out his work with Phil Kenyon, and he only continues to get better, at least statistically, compared to the rest of the tour, year in and year out. There doesn't seem to be anything standing in his way right now. And you could say the competition, and certainly we're seeing younger players coming out being more ready to compete on the PGA Tour, but Scottie is still in a category all by himself. And I think the only thing that could stop him now, as you pointed out, would be injury, and we haven't even seen that. So when he doesn't have that offseason injury like he had last year to set him back, I think 4, 5, 6 victories is pretty much a given for him.
Rex, how about Rory this year?
Rory is a little bit more interesting because when he reached the top of the mountaintop last year at the Masters, completed the career Grand Slam, Lav and I talked a lot about this. Where's the motivation to keep working? Where's the motivation to continue to be that player that he always wanted to be? The answer, of course, was at the Ryder Cup, what he did at the end of the season on the DP World Tour. There are still things clearly that motivate him, but he's also been very clear. He's going to cut back his schedule, and I'm guessing that's going to be some PGA Tour events. I think he can still be an elite player. He still will be an elite player when he shows up. The question is, when will he show up? Because I don't think we're going to see him on a week-in and week-out basis like we've probably seen over the course of his career.
Yeah, it's going to be really interesting, Rex, to see what sort of sources of motivation he has. And if you look big picture, whether it's a major total, he wants to win Olympic gold, he wants to win an Open championship at St. Andrews, he wants to win a U.S. Open at Pebble Beach as well, which is coming up, that opportunity in 2027. But I think when you look sort of week in, week out on the PGA Tour, he wants to win at golf courses that matter, not just to him, but sort of historically speaking. He wants to win at Pebble. He wants to win at Riviera. He wants to win at Muirfield Village. Those are the sort of events and tournaments that he can circle, that he can sort of ramp himself up for, in addition to the major championships, because with a player like him, this is essentially a living legend. 6th player to complete the career Grand Slam. Only he is going to know what sort of sources of motivation that he can tap into. But I think those little checkpoints along the way during a PGA Tour season could be really powerful for him.
What's nice for Rory is he doesn't have to do anything the rest of his days because he's a made man after what he did at the Masters and Augusta National. But we know, to your point, he does have more that he would like to do. I think it's reasonable to think that Rory could become one of the 10 greatest players of all time. He's probably, I'd have to bring Brandel in on this one, but he's probably between 15 and 20, somewhere in that neighborhood, maybe 20th. But he's climbing quickly, and then there's the matter of being, the all-time winningest major championship performer in European history. Faldo's there at 6, and then you go way back at the beginning of the century. We had a couple of guys, but in the modern era I'm talking about. But Rory, at this point, he can freewheel it. That's the idea.